Donald Trump is, first of all, a unique historical figure. But if I had to pick an analogy, I think he would be most similar to Julius Caesar. So let's go
Hmm.
over to some aspects of Julius Caesar that resonates with Donald Trump. So Julius Caesar became powerful because he took his army into Gaul and he enslaved the population. So basically, Julius Caesar conducted this unwarranted war of imperialism against innocent people, which made himself and his soldiers rich, and it made his soldiers extremely loyal to him as well. The patrician class in Rome became extremely annoyed with Caesar and wanted to indict him, basically impeach him. And so Caesar crossed the Rubicon and installed a military dictatorship. And so we're seeing a very similar situation play out in the United States as well, where Trump is creating these paramilitary forces like ICE and possibly the National Guard that are loyal only to him because only he will support their brutality. What we saw in Venezuela is the rise of Delta Force. So in the future, perhaps Delta Force will become the Praetorian Guard for Donald Trump. And what's driving all this is tremendous popular discontent, where people don't feel as though there's any hope of a better future. Remember, in 2020, the Democrats told the people, as long as we get rid of Donald Trump, things will go back to normal. And Joe Biden came into office, inflation hit record highs, and rather than trying to make lives better, Janet Yellen in the Treasury Department gaslighted people and told them, "Oh no, we're not really in a recession," even though everyone knew they were in a recession. When Putin invaded Ukraine, Biden imposed these sanctions that boomeranged against the American economy. Biden and his people should have negotiated for peace in Ukraine, but Biden insisted on a full-scale war with Ukraine, which has led to basically the collapse of the American empire throughout the world. So there's public discontent, but the Democrats do not have any solutions. As the midterms approach, the Democrats could be a party of no wars, of more wealth redistribution. But instead, they have absolutely no policy ideas. And the only thing that they promise the people is we're not Trump, and we'll probably impeach Trump if we get into office. Mm-hmm. So so right now the choice for the people is not one between democracy and monarchy. It's really one between monarchy and oligarchy. And given this choice, historically, people choose to pick monarchy because the first thing that monarchs tend to do is they actually cancel the debt and something called the Jubilee. And that's a very common way for kings to cement popular support. So I imagine, if Donald Trump were to become king, and that is certainly his ambition, and he would cancel all debts, including student debt, including mortgages, and this would be tremendous relief to the American people. Okay, so I think Julius Caesar is the best analogy, and a lot of it is just driven by incompetence among the ruling elite. The Democrats, the oligarchs, absolutely refuse to admit that they've done anything wrong. They refuse to admit that America has become a corrupt oligarchy, and they have stymied any political changes, including Bernie Sanders. If Bernie Sanders had won in 2016 or 2020, then America and the world would be a very different place. So it's not just Trump; it's also this elite that enables Trump. Another thing that I will say is that what seems to be driving Trump is his thirst for revenge. Because, for Trump, the biggest trauma in his life is the 2020 election against Joe Biden, because he is absolutely convinced that he won the election. But Joe Biden, the Europeans, Obama conspired against him. And how? Well, first of all, you had the George Floyd protests in Minnesota, right? The Black Lives Matter protests. Then you had the COVID lockdowns. Then you had the mail-in ballots that swung the election in favor of Joe Biden at the very last minute. So we can see much of what he's doing as a revenge tour. So he hates the Europeans because he's convinced the Europeans conspired with Obama against him in 2020. And that's why we're seeing Trump being so antagonistic against the Europeans. That's one front. Another front is that, why did Trump go in and kidnap Maduro? Because I think what will happen during the trial of Maduro is that Maduro will tell the people that Venezuela participated in election fraud in 2020. He will present evidence that the election was rigged in 2020. And now what we're seeing in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, is, these ICE agents going around and wreaking havoc. And, how things will develop in Minnesota is tremendously important, because I think that there's a very strong likelihood that what Trump will do next few weeks is he will pardon Derek Chauvin. And this would set the nation on fire if he were to do that. But it plays very much into Trump's psychology. He's trying to create as much havoc as possible. He's really trying to instigate a civil war with his actions. I mean, how else can you explain the fact that you have these ICE agents going around America and besieging average American citizens? And remember, these ICE agents, their responsibility is to deport illegal immigrants. But guess what?
Right.
Under Obama, you had more illegal immigrants deported than under Trump, even though you have this paramilitary force called ICE going around and supposedly running up immigrants. I think their main job is to test out the possibility of a secret police in America. There's talk of there's plans to deploy the National Guard to all 50 states this year. So it seems as though they're trying to create the conditions for martial law, for martial law.